Hi, everybody. I'm John Granado, and that's Lance Zerline. You can hear us on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. We're on in the mornings, so please listen in. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, please do so you get all of our content here at SportsMap HOU. Colts announced Anthony Richardson is QB1. He will start the regular season opener. C.J. Stroud has not been named the starter yet. Foregone conclusion, C.J. is the starter?
Yeah, I think it's foregone conclusion. I think C.J. would have to be terrible in the next game, and Davis Love have another game like that. And then, even then, you'd have to start preparing by flipping their roles QB1 in practice with, and that's going to be heavily reported on if that ends up being the case. You're going to start seeing that leak out. So I don't think so. I don't think you want to – I think you want to get – the Colts are starting Anthony Richardson right now because they bought into the fact that, look, they like what they see in him in practice, but the other thing is they want him to go through his lumps right now. They want him to take his lumps right now. They think he can mentally and physically handle that, and so they're going to go through it right now. I think the Texans are kind of in the same spot where C.J. Stroud, we know it's going to be a bumpy ride for him. There's no way to avoid it, going from college to the pros, going from having a huge advantage at skill positions every game to not having that advantage. He's going to have to get used to the speed of the game. So why not just play him? I mean, unless you mentally think that there's something that could really hurt him in the future and his confidence, that's the only reason I wouldn't play him. But I think the offensive line, when it's healthy, should be good enough, right? I mean, should be good enough to protect him.
No, it absolutely
at least okay.
It should be good enough. Let me give you this scenario. Davis Mills traded, because I heard the Bills need a backup quarterback. And there are other teams that are going to need, after this preseason, they're going to go, we're just not good enough there, or whatever. Davis Mills intrigues us a little bit. And Case Keenum. Case Keenum looked very comfortable in the offense. I know it was against the third-teamers and fourth-teamers, guys who are going to be delivering Amazon boxes soon. But Case Keenum has got experience in this league. Case Keenum is somebody that can, usher CJ in slowly as opposed to throwing him to the Wolves right away against the Ravens defense. Is this out of the question that Case Keenum might emerge as the starting quarterback?
Out of the question. If that were going to be the case, they would have already decided as a team and the brass that we're going to move along slowly. This is a direction we're going to go. The Colts didn't even do that with Anthony Richardson and Gardner Minshew, who I would argue Gardner Minshew would have been a great – and I think C.J. Stroud is further along as a quarterback than Anthony Richardson, and yet Richardson, they went in there and they early on just kind of had a group decision there. I think the Texans have probably done that as well. Case is not even running third right now, or second. He's running third. Do I think he could do it? Yeah. Do I think that would be a reasonable ask? Yeah, I think it would actually be reasonable to start C.J. Stroud on the bench for 3 or 4 games. But I think the Texans, for the same reasons I just talked about, are going to start C.J. Stroud because they want him to get through the rough times right now, do it earlier than later. If they were going to potentially go Case Keenum, I think they would have started doing that earlier in camp.
I just got to see these next 2 preseason games, though, to see if CJ does make some improvements, because he didn't – obviously, it's the first preseason game. He made a terrible throw. But if he continues to struggle in the games in this preseason, I don't think it's out of the question that Case – maybe not at the beginning of the season, but at some point, Case could take over and let CJ learn while he's watching him. Robert Mays from the Athletic football show podcast, predicted that the Texans could sneak into the top 10 of defenses in the league. What do you think?
I think that's a little rich, but I think top half of the league. I think they could be top 16. I don't know about top 10. That's a lot. I don't know that they're going to have enough rush. I think their safeties are – I think Ward is solid, but Stingley still has something to prove. I think their corners are just okay. I think the corners are solid but not great. So to me, I don't know if there's enough there in the front 7 either. I think D'Amico's going to help, and he's preaching every day, we're flying around to the ball, we're flying around, which he loves. I think the effort level and some playmaking by guys like Jalen Petrie, I think a little rush by Will Anderson, I think Stingley coming back this year and being a much better player are all going to help you. Top 10 would be a lot, but if it happens – man, shout out to Matt Burke and to D'Amico Ryans for putting that together after the disaster we saw last year in terms of stopping the run. I mean, if they're going to be a top 10, they got to stop the run better than they did.
I don't know. You know, I don't think that it's out of the question. I like their depth now. They actually got some talent with Hassan Ridgway and Heinisch backing up in the middle. You got Greenard and maybe Winovich. Maybe he has he's healthy now when he wasn't before. He could come in and give you a boost. Of course, you got Will Anderson. I think Grenard. I think that you could manufacture a pass rush. I think Stingley could step up and be a really shutdown. He's got that capability. I think your safeties are really good. I don't know. And you got D'Amico. The number one thing is you got D'Amico Ryans. And so I don't think it's out of the question that this team could sneak into the top. I think it's a pretty nice call. And if you started this team on its comeback with defense, you know what? Because you're going to struggle with a rookie quarterback, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. I really like what they did this offseason. Caserio finally got actual football players in free agency as opposed to guys that were just, filling in. They're not fillers. They're not anymore. He actually got some good football players.